Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this day, for the many blessings that you've given us. Lord, we thank you for the Thanksgiving we have for those who are doing well and have come through the pandemic. But Lord, there's still those suffering, those who are still dealing with loss and sick and loved ones that are just having a rough time. We pray that you might open the doors up so we can get vaccinated and we can move our communities forward and also our country. Be with our meeting tonight. I pray that you might guide our thoughts and judgment, that we might do what's best for our citizens and for the area. I pray these things in Christ's name. Amen. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody here. It's going to be an interesting meeting. We're fixing to do roll call, but we have a couple of, one of our, Miss Alderman Denby is on her way back from Jackson. Will be here, but she will be late. But by open meeting law with the COVID rules, we can meet by phone, and they can participate by phone. Alderman Gardner will be participating by phone. Alderman Betts is absent with some things going on. But if everybody's on the line, I'm going to ask our clerk if he will do our roll call.
Town of Vidalia Board of Aldermen roll call for a regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen dated February 9th, 2021. Alderman Betts. Alderman Betts is noted to be absent at this time. Alderwoman Denby.
Present. By phone.
Alderman Gardner.
Here as well, per telephone.
Mayor, let the record show that Alderwoman Denby and Alderman Gardner are present and accounted for via telephone under the state open meetings laws currently in place. Alderman Probst. Alderman Smith. Mayor, let the record show that a quorum of the board is present and accounted for.
All right, thank you all very much. Our first thing, order of business, is approval of correction of minutes of the December regular meeting. As you all remember, when we had that meeting, there was some question on some corrections, and this is the correction of the minutes. You have them in front of you. I will say our counsel's not here tonight. His wife was diagnosed with COVID, and she's positive, and he's at the hospital with her now, so our prayers are with them. But I think I'm going to defer to our Mr. LaShawn, if he has that explanation, if you want to, or is any question on it? Any council have a question on it, or we're going? Y'all want to? Yeah.
Mayor, what council was discussing, I think Alderman Gardner can confirm this, is that the correction is agenda item number 10 in the December minutes would be corrected to read that Alderman Gardner had voted no because the budget, the police department request was outside of its budget.
Okay.
I think the Alderman Gardner, is this the correct wording? Agenda item 10, December minutes, nays Alderman Gardner, who stated that he voted no because it's not in the budget.
Correct. As Councilman took care of that. I appreciate that.
And I believe, Mayor, that Mr. Murray has asked for a motion to approve that correction as a separate item.
Okay. Do I hear that motion? Motion made by Alderman Probst. Second by Alderman Gardner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now we have the approval of the minutes of our previous meeting. Not any questions, I can entertain a motion for that. Motion made by Alderman Probst, second by Alderman Smith. All in favor, say aye.
Alderman Gardner and Alderwoman Denby,
Yes, sir.
is that y'all voting yay on the minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. We're going to go to agenda item number 1, our presentation of our financial statement for December 2020 by Ms. Deborah Moak, our CPA and our municipal accountant.
Tonight's financial statements include the balance sheet as of December 31st, 2020, the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balances for the 6 months ending December the 31st, 2020, a summary budget to actual comparison by fund, and a detailed budget to actual comparison by department. These financial statements have been distributed to all departments and aldermen for their review. In summary, the town has cash in the bank of $9.1 million, including $7.5 million in the hydro fund and $580,000 in the sales tax fund. Investments are $3.9 million, which include 2.4 million in the hydro reserve fund, and 1.5 million in CDs in the general fund. Total assets are 33.4 million, total liabilities are 6.4 million, for a fund balance of 27 million. The statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund balance for the 6 months ending December 31st, 2020 indicates combined revenues of 14.8 million, or 40% of the total revenue, which is 10% under budget. Total expenditures of 17.1 million, or 47% of total expenditures.
Ms. Moak, can I interrupt? Alderman Gardner and Alderman Denby, if y'all would, if we're not asking for a vote, would y'all mute your phones, please? It's we're having some background chatter come across, and it's being really hard to understand. If y'all could mute your phones and just
My
unmute them.
phone is muted, Mayor Kraft.
Pardon?
My
Okay,
phone was muted.
okay, I'm just,
The Gardner phone is muted.
if your phone, okay, if you would, y'all just mute your phone, and then when we get back, we'll get you to unmute them. Okay, thank y'all very much. Okay, go ahead, proceed.
Okay,
Ms.
the net change in position is a negative 2.2 million. The negative change in position is due to revenues have not caught up with the timing of the expenditures. We should see this negative position turn around over the next several months as ad valorem taxes and occupational license are received, and with the projected increase in the hydro royalties. While hydro royalties are down due to the low production months, the royalty percentage rate on gross payments will increase in January from 10.4% to 11.6%, while the unit cost to purchase power will remain the same. The increase in royalty percentage and higher production will cause the royalties to increase over the next few months and bring the town back into a positive net position. Included in these financial statements is the hydro royalty rebates in the amount of 1.28 million. Rebate checks were mailed out in November and were 62% higher than the previous year. These financial statements also include capital outlay of 2.6 million of a $5.4 million budget, or 48% of the total amount budgeted. It is anticipated not all capital outlay will be spent in this fiscal year due to the change in need and due to the length of time needed to make the preparation for the expense may cause a delay in the actual expense, resulting in a carryover to fiscal year 2022. Through February 5th, 2021, 1.5 million has been borrowed for the substation construction to cover materials, engineering costs, and legal fees incurred. The aldermen have been notified before the draws are made so as they can be aware of where the money is being spent. All costs are recorded as a capital asset and as a liability on the balance sheet. The appraisals are complete for the right-of-ways and negotiations are pending. Construction at the City Court building is ongoing, but the mold cleanup is finished and the windows have been sealed, the ceiling tiles have been replaced, and the front has been pressure washed. The only thing left is to replace the flooring, and that has been picked out, and I believe they're soon to be installing the flooring. The new barge loading facility at the port is complete, and the engineers are working to close this project out. We have received $134.6 this year from FEMA for 75% of the amount needed to cover the actual cost of the fiber optic replacement along the riverfront, roadway improvements, and repairs to the Vidalia Canal due to the 2019 flood. The town's cost is 25% of the estimated cost to repair. The only item left includes cost to repair the sewer, which has been improved, and our portion should be $39,800. The town of Vidalia has applied for federal reimbursements through the State CARES Act for expenses and costs related to COVID-19. The town has received $488,000 this fiscal year. Sales tax collection for the year through January 31st are up by $78,000 over the same period last year. Personnel expenses overall are up by 3%, which can be attributable to the large payout to long-term employees who were entitled to benefits before the use it or lose it came into play. And also there was an additional pay period in 2020. The auditors have it just fell over that way. The third period in January, but it wasn't like we paid somebody additional, it just fell over into that year. The auditors have completed their audit and have sent their report to the legislative auditors by the due date. Once it's approved, they will present it to the Board of Aldermen. As of today, we have not received approval of the audit by the Louisiana legislative auditors.
Okay, any questions from council? One thing I missed, y'all, is usually we have our public comment at the beginning of our meeting. If there's anything on the agenda that's anybody wants to make a comment on this, would be the time to do it. Is anybody got a comment about any agenda items before we get into them? Now, this is not to say that when we get to your occupational license that you can't discuss them, because we'll be asking you some questions about those, but that this is just any other agenda item that's on here. So I missed that, and I'm sorry. Deborah, thank you so much for that report. It's really, appreciate the work you and your staff does, and everybody with that. Y'all do a wonderful job, and the city's in real good hands when it comes to that, I promise you. Number two, our occupation, my glasses broke as soon as I walked in here, so if I struggle through some of this trying to read it, please forgive me. The first one we have is going to be 1827 Spirits LLC. It's going to be at 1622 Carter Street. Mr. Finley Hutzel's here, who's been having a business here with our city for a long time. We appreciate him, and he's expanding on his business down there. He has some partners with him, and we would appreciate y'all wanting to do business and expand your business here. Y'all want to tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing, and just tell us what you're going to be providing. Sure, yeah, come on.
Good evening, everybody. Finley Hutzel. And you're right, I've had a business here since 1992, right here on Parker Street. A new business venture, it's come along, been developed, it's been growing in my mind for an awfully long time. With the changes that we're seeing locally, nationally, statewide, I do think it's time to diversify for myself and
Okay.
We would very much appreciate all the help that you can give us. We certainly give you help and promotion in return.
Okay. All right, any questions from the council?
I just noticed you're reworking your building down there.
Yeah?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Fire Marshal. Thank you very much, local folks. All the
People
other-
been asking me about it.
I've been fighting with a leaking roof for a while, and I finally decided a metal roof was the way to go.
And not a flat metal roof, right?
Even in my former life, in the lumber business, those flat roofs started being produced, and it was a terrible idea. It worked great in the Southwest. Does not work in Louisiana, Mississippi. You know, we just have too much rain.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any questions? Anybody want to make a motion to accept the,
Motion to accept.
motion made by Alderman Probst, second by Alderman Smith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Denby, if you can unmute your phone and vote now, that would be,
Mayor, I believe Pi said she's arrived at the building.
okay.
So she-
Well, that is a quorum. So I guess we can,
It's passed.
yeah, it's
We had a
passed.
quorum. Mhm.
Okay.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all very much. Appreciate y'all being in Vidalia so much. Okay, the next one we have is going to be Michael Smith. They're going to be having the Smith Snow and Go #2, and it's going to be at 2000 Carter Street. And Michael, you want to tell us a little bit about, which that's pretty straightforward, and it's going to be in the I think the Weeks, the parking lot where the kidney dialysis place is, and the old Pizza Hut building in there, so forth. And Ms. Denby, let our record show that she has arrived. She's here in person. So is there any questions on this? Do I hear a motion?
I make that motion we approve, Michael.
Pardon?
Alderman Gardner made a motion.
Oh, motion made by Alderman Gardner. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Probst. All in favor, say aye. Okay.
Aye.
Was everybody, anybody against? Okay. All right, our next one we have is, thank y'all, is LAVDL Clark, Alpha LLC. Is he here tonight? I think he was gonna be calling in,
He was
Is-
going to try to call in on that,
okay, this is actually this gonna be Adam Scott. He purchased Clark's Trailer Park, and he has, some plans to, improve the park, on his existing property. And, he's, basically asking for his occupational license. It would be basically a change of business. And do you want to tell us a little bit, Mr. Adams, Mr. Scott, what you plan on doing, some of the improvements you're doing?
Sure, absolutely. Number one, we really appreciate being in Vidalia. We like Vidalia a lot. We got a lot of hope for our little park there in Vidalia. We are going to be fixing it up. I don't know when the last time anybody went through there, but needs a little updating, a little cleaning up, and we're going to be skirting all the trailers and getting everything cleaned and getting any of the junk out of there. And we also want to fill up the empty lot and bring some nicer units in there and make some better places for people to live and kind of upgrade the tenant base in there. Just overall clean it all up and get it running nice and smooth and keep it that way for a long time.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Scott? Okay, anybody want to make a motion? Motion made by Alderman Probst. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Denby. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, Mr. Scott, welcome to Vidalia. Thank you so much.
All right. Glad to be here. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right, next we have is Delta Coffee Company LLC. Are they here? Oh, yeah, they're here tonight, and they're going to be also, I think, on Carter Street in that same, close to that same area. Is that correct? And see, that's going to be Mr. Jordan Farmer and Matthew Vines. I don't have my glasses, so y'all going to have to really forgive me on this. So y'all want to tell us a little bit about what y'all are going to be doing?
Sure. Really, that deadline has been worked on about a year ago. Just a drive-through coffee shop, pretty much. It's gonna be a little one-stop shop for breakfast and coffee, try to take some of that drive-through business at McDonald's and everywhere else around the world for the coast. As I did last year, and with COVID being such a big deal now in the inside places, we feel like the drive-through around here would be ideal. There's nothing like that really around here. It's gonna be, right there on the 2096 is the physical address. We got it down on one already. It's opposite of the salon that the old Pizza Hut is now. So we're on that side of the parking lot. It's gonna be a 12 by 24 building. We're getting built, brought in. Skirt around the bottom. It'll be very, very nice. Probably board and batten or some kind of concrete board, metal roof, black and white, black windows and everything. Gonna employ you 2 to 3 per shift. We're open 7 days a week, early in the morning until mid-afternoon. Gonna have a few breakfast foods, nothing cooked on premises. It's gonna be just heated items mainly, some dessert items, and then of course coffees and protein shakes, stuff like that.
Okay, any questions? Mr. Farmer?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay, can I entertain a motion? Motion made by Alderman Probst. You want to second it, Alderman Smith? Alderman Smith
I'll
second it.
second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it and wish you all the luck in the world.
Appreciate it.
Michael, thank you too. I really appreciate that. Okay, now we're going to have board discussion and vote on the appointment of Mr. Floyd W. Gardner as a new member of the Town Vidalia Board of Adjustment. We have lost some members due to some moving and so forth, and we don't have a quorum, and we have some business we need to attend to. Mr. Gardner has agreed to serve on the Board of Adjustments, and this is confirming him for that. And if anybody have any questions, we'll entertain a motion to accept Mr. Gardner to the Board of Adjustment. Now, keep in mind, Kathy's here, and she is the chairman of that committee, and this is almost a thankless committee. They do a lot of hard work, and I appreciate the work y'all do. I'm going to let her tell you, how many times have I showed up at y'all's meeting or called you and asked you to do something, Miss Kathy? How many times? None. Zero, right? Because we have these commissions and councils to be independent, and that's the way they should be. And we have people in place to make these decisions. And now, if there's something that there's a resident somewhere that's if they make a decision to make and adjust something to allow something, though somebody has a right to appeal it, and they would appeal it to the full council of the city of Vidalia, which is be this council. However, I don't think anybody's ever requested of any decisions y'all done, and so that shows the work y'all done, and really appreciate that. So if there's no discussion, do I hear a motion we accept Mr. Gardner? Motion made by Mr. Smith. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Demme. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay. All right, now we're going to move on to item number 4, board discussion and vote on approval of a resolution of support for the Community Water Enrichment Fund for fiscal year 2020-21. That was in your packet. You'll see that it's a little over, I think, 38,000. Is that correct? I hadn't looked at it, but 35,000. Is any questions on it? What happens is, Ricky, you want to tell them how some of those funds will be expended? This is Ricky Roth, our department head for our utility department.
So this 35,000 is a grant that we've pretty well got every year for the past 10, 12, 15 years, but it has been used in the past to buy a bunch of the treatment chemicals for the water plant. It's specific to water treatment. It has to be spent for the water plant itself. They've taken chemicals out of the mix now, so we can't buy any more chemicals, but we can get anything to make the treatment of water better, easier for the crew. This year, we're looking at upgrading some of the lab glassware, scales, getting a lockout tagout station for the electrical controls that are in the building, keep everything safe. Professionally blasting and coating all the piping outside the water plant itself. Starting to rust, we do that upgrading the lighting, the LEDs, and a couple different chlorine continuous online monitoring systems, where it'll give us a continuous digital readout where we can just walk by and look at the screen and see exactly what the water's doing at any given time. It'll be something that hopefully we'll get every year.
Okay.
We'll just buy stuff and make things better.
You were saying a while ago, chemicals, we used to buy chemicals, now we can't.
Right.
So we've taken that expense on. As far as city where we never did used to.
Right. 35,000 more will be spent out of pocket on the city.
This first year, that's happened.
They said last year that chemicals were gonna not be included, but we got chemicals last year. And now this year, they shut it down.
Didn't get it for the time.
All right, any more questions? Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution? Motion made by Alderman Probst, second by Alderman Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Okay. All right, number 8 is board discussion and vote on approval of a resolution of support for a local government assistant program 2020-21 grant application. This is also one that we get every year that usually goes to our public works and usually deals with mowers and things of that nature. So has anybody got any questions on it? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept that resolution.
I make the motion.
Motion made by Alderman Demme. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Smith. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 6 is board discussion and vote of approval on agreement for professional services between Town of Vidalia and Neil Schaefer, Inc., engineering costs related to expansion of our water treatment plant here in Vidalia. And is there any questions from council? I'd like to set the table for this. One of the things, as y'all know, we have state capital outlay that is in different priorities, and one of the needs on that was expansion of our water plant. Just like our electrical system, we are getting close to where we are getting close to what we're using on a daily basis. And the original engineers on this project was Jordan Kaiser Sessions over in Natchez, and they had an engineer that worked for them that has no longer with them but moved to this firm here. And how old is that water plant? I think it's pretty old. But y'all know what? That's been a great system here on the river. It has worked for our town. We have had nothing but good water here for our town for years and years and years. So it makes sense to have the engineer who engineered that plant to double the one that we've got. Now, there's some other things that I hope we can see in that and that we will discuss is going into the future is securing that area of our town to protect our water plant and make sure we have a high level of security anybody entering that area, because you know they always tell us that's something that's very important, and we certainly want to protect one of the most valuable assets that our businesses and our residences rely on, which is good clean water. So anyway, there's a big need for this. It's going to take it's very lengthy to get done. However, we feel like we need to go ahead and start. This is just to start the conceptual design on it and to engage this firm to start, and that'll be the first step they do, which will be the conceptual design phase. Then they go into the actual design phase and that's how they come up with the cost on it, because we don't know what it costs. But the only way you're going to figure it out to basically draw it up, see what it's going to take. Then they can say this is approximate cost. They do the design, and that's when they put out the construction documents after that. There's 3 stages to it. So this is to start the process, is all it is. There may not be, other than maybe an initial percentage of the estimated engineering cost up front to start. It's not going to be something that's going to be real earth-shattering to start it. So we feel like this is an opportune time for us to go ahead while this engineer is available and get started on this. And any questions on that?
Where are we at as far as length of time to get it done if we're hitting that peak?
They tell me well over 2 years.
2 years?
Well over 2 years. Probably design and engineering, Alderman Probst, is going to be, I would say, probably in bidding and letting contracts and doing all the things that they have to do is probably going to be at least a year and a half is my guess. And that's just one night. I've seen how the other projects that we've had, Of course, one of the main things that I don't think we've talked about with them is I want to see almost razor wire fence, you know, around this thing where you have, it's gated and you have to have security clearance to get in that area. Because who knows with our future and everything, we want to make sure that is a very, very secure area, I think. Be in the same location. I think at that time, we will also start having to look at maybe doing some redesign and doing some stuff, relocating some offices and things, just to secure that area because they're going to need the space. And I think we also need the security there, so. Any more questions? Again, this is to start the process. So if not, can I hear a motion that we go ahead and enter into this resolution to, for this firm? Motion made by Alderman Probst. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second was made by Alderman Denby. I heard her the loudest, so. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, thank y'all. Okay, number 7, in your packet, I'm fixing to, I have, Frank, are you and Charlie on the phone?
Yes, sir. I'll start and then turn it over to Charlie in just a moment.
Okay, let me go ahead and let me go ahead and introduce this board discussion and vote on entering into agreement between Town of Vidalia and American Cruise Lines related to the new docking port that they're looking at putting in. And I think, Bobby, do you have something, it's going to be on we're going to put this on the projector so maybe people on Facebook, I don't know how well they're going to be able to see this. But we have, I can tell you, I met Frank Clips. Frank was the mayor of Davenport, and I met him through MRCTI, and he is a delightful man. He's well respected, very smart, and also met Charlie Robertson, who is the CEO of, and his family started American Cruise Lines, and I want to tell you, these are first class people that we're dealing with. They're going to be the largest provider of cruises on the river, and we're proud to have them offer us a opportunity to have them dock here. So, Frank, if you would, I'm going to let you start, okay?
Great. Well, thank you, Buzz, and I guess officially Mayor Kraft. I've known you now about almost 6 years, I think. And ladies and gentlemen, we're delighted to be here this evening. And also, I just wanted to say, you know, Buzz has been involved with MRCTI and a lot of activities, but he represents your city extremely well, both as a local level, you can tell by what we went through tonight, but also from a statewide level, regional level, and actually at the national level. And many of us, MRCTI represents 100 mayors on the river, and Buzz is one we talk to and want his opinion and ideas as well. So I'm honored to be involved and be able to stay connected with you and now Vidalia as well as we move this forward. We are, as Mayor Kraft said, we are the largest company on the river, an American company. We've been coming to Vidalia and to different ports along the Mississippi, and we want to be part of those communities. And I'm going to turn it over about a year ago now, after I decided not to run for mayor. I was going to spend some more time with my grandkids, and Charlie Robertson called me and said, if you're going to do some consulting, how about working with us? And my job is Director of City Partnerships, so it's an honor to be able to stay connected with all those mayors, but to be able to be in Vidalia and to stay connected with Mayor Kraft as well. We have some exciting plans. Buzz has been great to work with. He's been definitely very motivating to us to make more investments there in Vidalia, and we have some exciting plans that we want to share with you tonight about what that can look like in support of the the funding initiatives that we're looking to bring forward. So with that, Charlie Robertson is our president and CEO, and he's going to walk you through some of the photos and some of the design that we've been talking with both Heather Malone and with Buzz Kraft about. Charlie.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Frank. Thank you, Mayor Kraft. You guys did the heavy lifting for me here, and so I'll just describe briefly what we're hoping to do. But we've been very proud to call on Vidalia since 2012, and we're growing very quickly, And so we look forward to really growing that partnership with you also, and doing a lot more in town through this new docking facility. And I'll explain a little bit about really what I think the benefit of building this facility will do for the city. I'll jump basically right to page 3 of the presentation, which is a graph that just explains the growth and why we feel this is possible now. We have 4 ships on the river. They're all in New Orleans right now, just waiting to operate, and we're hopeful that we'll be running in March and working with each of the communities and states to get them up and running. We also have additional ships under construction and pretty rapid growth plans for the river. And so we really want to increase our operating capacity, and to do that, we also need to increase our port infrastructure capacity. And so we've engaged with a few different cities and ports up and down the river that have been especially good to us, and are investing in them now to build out that dock facility. And we'd like Vidalia to be one of those places. By 2024, we think it's feasible that we could have 7 ships on the river. I'll point out also, and if you flip to the next page, you'll see American Melody under construction. These ships were both, these photos were both taken this past fall and winter. We built the boats ourselves at a shipyard that we own in Maryland, and so it's been very efficient to control our own production cycle and control our own destiny. And that's been a big part of our growth plan. And that's how we keep turning these boats out so quickly. This boat will be on the river this coming summer, and we look forward to having its inaugural cruise call on Vidalia. And our cruises are a first-class experience, I'd say. They're relatively small. Each one carries under 200 guests. And our basic operating philosophy is to have fewer people on board and to operate more ships, so that it keeps that small kind of intimate atmosphere. And everything we do is domestic in the U.S., and that's really in demand right now. And so the pandemic, as difficult as it's been not to operate in the short term, we are extremely optimistic about the long term and haven't slowed down one bit in building ships or in building docks. And so on the last page, you'll see a very rough concept of the docking arrangement that we're proposing on building with you. Right now, we land underneath the bridge. And with that first-class experience I mentioned, it's very difficult for me to explain why there's cars and trucks rumbling right over people's heads when they're sitting out on the sun deck. And so we really need to create a more secure tying and docking arrangement that gets us out from underneath the bridge. Nosing into the bank is not ideal, and this new dock will allow us to run just a much more consistent operation in Vidalia. And I think that's really where the benefit to the city comes in, is because we can have that consistent operation. We have the best view of Natchez from that side of the river, and it creates a really nice guest experience at the dock, and then a very welcoming experience when they walk ashore. And by bringing these ships in a couple times a week, very consistently, and staying overnight, we can have a much bigger economic impact to the town. Right now, I feel like we're kind of quiet, and we sort of come and go, and most people may not even know we're there. But if we can really get to a point where we're engaged with the community and coming very consistently, I think we can offer a lot more tours in town. We can use the amphitheater, I think, to do local events and everything from concerts to crawfish boils, and there's a lot of opportunity. And we can also run excursions in town. And then just by being in town, our passengers and our crew naturally want to get ashore and go shopping and just do more. And that's a much more welcoming and inviting experience if they're not kind of getting off right underneath the bridge. So we think that this dock is viable. It's a really ideal landing location. The bank and the little bit we know about the underwater topography make it a great site to build on. We love operating in the town and have been very appreciative of how you've had us over the years. And so we think this could really be a fantastic partnership, and we'd appreciate being able to move forward if you'd consider having us.
Okay. Again, the aldermen have this in their packet, what he was talking about, the different ships and things. Does anybody in the council have any questions about what Mr. Robertson and Mr. Cripps has talked to us about? Again, I see they offered us 3 options to look at an agreement, and we've talked about as staff, and also all of us looked at it, and we thought the most reasonable thing would be to let them put in. They will handle the expense, liability, maintenance of the dock, and we will get a fee, and which is about what you would get almost on if you'd have had shared cost in it. But they will control, who has priority use it. But for example, if they want to another cruise line and they don't have a ship in, if they want to let them dock there, they would negotiate a rate for that cruise ship for them to work out whatever cost it would be. It wouldn't be us having to do it or have employees out there maintaining it or making sure things are taken care of. So, we would have metered water that they would, if they took water on from our town, we would meter that, as well as we get so much per passenger the town would get on each trip. So that's been similar arrangements that we've done with someone renting spots along the Mississippi River on the riverfront. So I think it's a wonderful thing for our town. I think our kids, our residents love to see the boats on this side. I think it'll be very majestic with Natchez in the background, and I'm proud of our riverfront. I think it's the cleanest, best upkept thing in the whole state almost. They do a wonderful job. Our employees do a wonderful job on keeping that up. And I do have a vision of where it's going to bring commerce to us. And you never know when that person on that cruise line might be looking for a home that he can come retire. I can tell you, Natchez has had several people after visiting Natchez buy homes in Natchez because they like the town. So who's to say what this could lead to? So I mean, Charlie and Frank, I'm very encouraged. Again, I think y'all are first class operation and very well respected, and it seemed to be very financially secure a company and somebody we would be proud to be a partner with. So. Is there any questions any of the board would like to ask of Frank or Charlie? Of course, now we will be having more meetings as they get closer, when they get more maybe renderings or drawings of what they are looking at putting. I think that's something we will be bringing to y'all as we go forward with it and keeping you informed on what they're doing with it and how things will work. So do anybody want to make a motion for us to move forward? Okay, motion made by Alderman Probst. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Denby. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Well, Charlie and Frank, welcome to Vidalia. Thank y'all so much for your investment, and we hope that we can be everything y'all want us to be, and I know y'all will be for us.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you.
This is great. Thank you very much.
Well, we'll be in touch, and when y'all come down to town, holler at us. We certainly want to get some pictures of y'all and out at the site and location, and any drawings y'all. As soon as y'all can get some drawings rendered, we'd love to share it with our community. Okay.
Great.
All right.
Looking forward to being there.
Okay. I'm going to be hanging up now. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, there is nothing else on our agenda here. Motion we adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Alderman Smith. You want to make the second by Alderman Gardner?
Second.
He second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're stand adjourned. Thank y'all very much.